So it was putting it together that I wasn't sure
You don't have to lift it all at once.
when I take this. Well, it's like a puzzle. So you put it together, but it's pretty thick. It's like that. So I wasn't sure when I put a finish on if it's going to restrict it from sliding together, because I was concerned how thick a finish was going to be, because it's in the thousandths of an inch.
Listen, another service that you could provide. I have a little area in my living room, and I could use a little bookcase.
Yeah. So
What did you put on for finish then?
it's just a clear varnish type. Yeah, this is all natural, so I think you see the wood grain on here better. Yeah, it's really.
Beautiful.
Wait a minute, so is that 3 separate boards?
Yeah, they're glued together. I had to glue them all into
Yeah.
to make the widths because it's 17 and 5/8 tall. So it just sits
It's
there.
a coffee table, or what is it?
Yeah, it's going to be a coffee table and a piece of bronze
But look, you
tempered
had to
glass.
make them all
These are just the
match.
layers.
Yeah, so that it all that was
it's like
that was
matching
tricky.
plaids when
It
you
was
do
tricky,
something.
yeah. So it had the meat on the top so that it's going to be perfectly flat. So
Do you put your initials in it when you're done?
then I'll ruin it. You get to the final stage. I think I'll engrave my name. Oh, he said, "Well, I destroyed that." Morning, Chris. You can do it. Okay. Wow. Where is everybody? I don't
They all hung up on the traffic.
Oh, okay. So we get.
Get here from
So it's light today. Well, usually Maria's here, Barkley, Kai's here. Yep. And Barkley and Monaco usually comes. They're probably coming. They're in the traffic usually. Okay. So we can bow in, yeah, after they see the tree. Should we all take a look? Okay, ready? We'll bow in. Ready? Up. 2, 3, salute. Oh, I forgot to turn that light on. You need the light? No. All right, ready? Turning. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, and stop. To decide 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, and stop. Okay. Hands up. center, inhale, exhale. One more time, hands up, reach down. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. You made it. Here, to your left. Okay, you just join in. Inhale, exhale. Okay, hands on your waist, circular movements. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 1, 2. Reverse. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 1, 2. Center cross, knees, circular movements. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 1. Reverse. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 1, 2. Center, hands on your waist, neck turning. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 1, 2. Back and forth. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 1, 2. Center, tilt to the side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 1, 2. Center, circular movements. 1, 2, 3. Reverse. 1, 2, 3. Center, hands up. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. Okay, spread your feet. Turning. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 1, 2, 3, and stop. Okay, stretch it out. switch, 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 straighten the front knee, switch, 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 center, shake it out. Okay, hands up. Deep breathing, inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale, inhale, reverse. And center. Okay, press, release, exhale, inhale. And stop. Hands up. Deep breathing. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Okay, wrists. Okay. Reverse. Okay, palms down. Bigger circle. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, and stop. Okay, center. Shake it out. We're going to go side to side shift. And switch center, lift. right foot down, insert the needle, and switch. And okay, shake it out. Okay, deep breathing, inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. Okay, leg swing. Relax the hips, let it go back and forth. Use gravity to let it free fall. So a little bit of effort kicking up and let it drop back by itself. And center. Okay, switch. And center. Okay, I'm going to go side to side, set up like this. And center. Okay, go to the other side. Okay, center, shake it out. Pull in, inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. Okay, silk grilling, forward and back. foot forward. Switch. Okay, center. See parallel preparation. Okay, minor. Okay. Circular movements, relax the shoulders and elbows. Relax the knees, sink, and push. hands. Okay, palms down. Lift up. Carry tiger to the mountain. Okay, infinity sign. And form the fist. Okay, palms together, strum the lute. side and then to the right. And center. Okay, raise the hand. And center. Okay, palms down, deep breathing, inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Okay, so how far are they in the form? Did they do the front side already, Mina? Up to parry and punch? Yeah. Oh, okay. So let's go together up to there a couple of times, and then we can split it. Do the whole form. So just for the experience for the newer people, right? So Chris, you want to move in a little bit so that Deborah can take that end, and then okay, ready? Preparation. Step up left side, vertical elbow, horizontal elbow, sit back, turn the corner, shift your weight, shift again, step up right side, grasp the sparrow's tail. Turn to the corner, pivot on the heel, hook your wrists, single whip, spread the feet, palm side in, across, level, shift, diagonal flying. Step up, right side, palms together, press forward. Lower the hand, raise the hand. Bend from the waist, stork flaps wings. Shift your weight to the left, toe heel pivot, go to vertical elbow, turn to the right, brush knee and push. Sit back, turn to the right, brush knee and push, second brush knee and push. Third brush knee and push goes to the left, horizontal elbow left, toe out to the left, step through, inside hand brushes down, push left. Go back to vertical right, horizontal right, toe out right, step through left, brush knee and push. Sit back to vertical left, turn to the right, 45 degrees, back to center left. Close the door, step up, form the fist, left foot forward, punch right, divert, block, and punch. So there's divert and block, the infinity sign. Punching is the right side. Cross the arms, leopard and tiger springs to mountain. Back to neutral left, turn to your right. Center left, turn to fist under elbow. Reset the neutral, vertical, horizontal, pivot the back foot. Reverse the stance, repulse the monkey 3 times. Repulse the monkey on the third side is to the left. Back to vertical right side this time. Hold the ball. Pivot, toe out right. Step up, diagonal flying. Sit back. Insert the needle. Step forward. Fan through the back. Turn. Stroke down. Parry and punch. So we can form the fist on the right side and punch. Then we just repeat the same movement that we did on the opposite side. Divert, block, and punch. Then we do the leopard and tiger springs to mountain. And then it changes to the left side movements. Okay, we'll shake it out. So you want to do that one more time, and then we'll split it up. Okay, ready? From the beginning again. Okay. Preparation, relax, sink the elbow, press down. Move to your left side and go forward. That's beginning style, left and right side. Flip the hands. Step up, grasp the sparrow's tail. Sit back, pivot, turn to the corner and hook your wrists. Single whip. Hold the ball. Shift. Diagonal flying. Step up. Press forward. Raise the hand. Bend from the waist. Stork flaps wings. Turn. Brush knee 4 times. So there's 2 on the right, the first set. Then we move to the left, and there's only 1 left side push. Okay, then we go back to the right. And we're on the right side push, so there's 3 rights, 1 left. Back to vertical, strum the lute. That's the series. Step up to close the door, form the fist, and punch. Infinity sign. And punch. Cross the arms, leopard and tiger springs to mountain. Neutral position. Fist under elbow. Reset, repulse the monkey 3 times. And we go back again. And then we go back one more time. Reversing the stance, retreat and repulse the monkey. Okay, good. Now we go to vertical right side. We stack the hands to hold the ball. Step up, diagonal flying. Sit back, insert the needle. Step up, adjust the feet, fan to the back. Then make a 180-degree turn, Hammer fist down, vertical down, invert the hand, parry and punch. Right side form your fist, step through and punch. Sit back, left side goes to the outside, back to the inside, and then you punch. Bring the left hand to the outside, so you only move one hand at a time, and then your hands go down. Okay, good. So, Mani, you want to take them, and they continue on or review that. So then we're going to do carry tiger to the mountain, right? So carry tiger to the mountain, when we're in this position, we bring it down, we sit back, pivot, relax, lift up, sit back, cross the hands, raise the hand, bend from the waist, stork flaps wings, turn, grasp the sparrow's tail, hook your wrists, hold the ball, flip it over, diagonal flying, sit back, and we're going to do part the horse's mane twice. Here's one. Now we step up again, stroke down, part the horse's mane left. Now we cross over, cross corner, 1, 2, Jade Lady work shuttle. Cross over, Jade Lady work shuttle. Hook your wrists, open this stance, and we're going to do a set of cloud hands after we get the single whip. Okay, so we go down, press down, and we turn. Shift, step, step, pivot, pivot, step, touchdown, pivot, hook your wrists, and single whip. Hold the ball, flip it over, diagonal flying, close the form. Okay, deep breathing. So, actually we can shift this way a little bit, tighten it up a little. That way we can go over. We can do the footwork to the cloud. Oh, you have a question? Yeah. Flying, yeah. Is it? Okay, so we hold the ball. Okay, we're here. So then I turn like this, and then I bring my hands back to center. So say we hold the ball, reverse the ball. Okay, so we hold the ball, right? Oh, we're actually on this side. So we hold the ball, and we reverse the ball, and here's your diagonal flying. And then I turn like this, and then I find my center. So that's just going to neutral. But I think what you see, this. So actually what's happening is when the hands are in a position like this, right, I have to set up my hand like this and then stroke down, and then you cover and reset by holding the ball. Because even though it's linked together sequentially in order in the form, those transitions kind of help you tie it together. So as your body starts to become more familiar with the sequence, and it starts to become more familiar with the space and the, yeah. So when you stroke down and then you cover like this, the covering is the back hand. So when we're doing silk reeling, this hand comes around and comes on top, and then this hand comes underneath, and your exchange is between the two hands combining and then separating. So holding the ball essentially is just bringing your hands together, and then diagonal flying or part the horse's mane is a separation, which is actually a term sometimes called splitting. Splitting is to separate. So, and combining is sort of closing and coming together. So if I just did this, that's really reversing the ball. You're just flipping it over. If it gets bigger and bigger and bigger as you move, then that's actually essentially the same action, but one is smaller based on where it's going. See? So when you're doing these movements, your body eventually becomes more, familiar with the space, but more accurate in its maneuver. Yeah. Yeah. So we want to face this way to do it, right? So we're in the left side single whip, right? So we hold the ball and we flip, and then we're here. Okay, so here's your diagonal flying, and then we're going to reset the center, then we stroke down, and then we turn. So sinking is downward. So anytime you're about to do a downside movement, then you have to connect with that, right? So when you sink, it's this. When you turn, then you may sink again and then rise or lean forward. So what you're doing between this position, and this position is projecting yourself in a forward direction. So because every posture really has a forward, a backward, a right, and a left, it's just that, it depends on where it shows up in the form and where you are, in space. So when we're doing it here, we're going that way. When you're doing there, you're going that way. But it's really a forward and a backward based on the fact that you're going forward and backward. And what creates the forward and backward is the straightening of the knee and the folding of the front. So sinking, so if this is down, you sink, and then you project forward as an extension of that leg. So if I extend this leg in this direction, it becomes a vertical direction. When I push this way, it becomes a projection in the forward direction. If I turn like this and I turn to here and I push straighten this leg, because this is straightening angularly, my body's going to go forward in an angled direction. If I'm in a vertical position, I sink, like insert the needle, or I lift up, then that's a vertical direction. You see? So, when we speak of direction and space and geometry, all of these things are just concepts and something that you can relate to. So we talk about circle, you talk about a square, you talk about a triangle. That's the geometry of position. And what's pretty interesting is the other 2 nights I was working with the instructors and advanced students on some of the transitions in the Kung Fu. And between Kung Fu and Tai Chi, it's all about movement and transitions. So I brought up one of the things that we're doing in the forms, and Rob came to me yesterday and asked me a question about when does this happen, or does this rounding and hollowing and all that happen at here, or if you hollow your chest and then go down to strike like this, is that the right thing to do? So it kind of brought to my attention that there's confusion there. So the way to distinguish it is really geometry of position is a shape. That's a structure. So when we look at a circle, we know that that's a round structure. When we look at a triangle, we know it's a three-sided configuration. And squareness is sort of true. You have 90-degree angles, right? So then, depending on what plane it is, it's still the same shape. But then when we move, so if structure is sort of stillness, like you make something and it's a structure and it stands there and it's balanced and so forth, so that's the static structure. It's stillness. But in motion, you actually create those shapes too. So if I turn, I create a circular motion. If I push forward, it could be a square push, or it could be a triangular push. It could be angular motion, which creates really triangular positions. So everything is made up of, circles, squares, and triangles. You just look up at the ceiling. All you do is have straightness, angular positions, and then the roundness really doesn't show up until you see something like those tubes. They're round. And the reason why a round shape has strength in certain ways is because, when you have corners, it has more volume, but in roundness it has integrity of space. That was something, interestingly enough, when I had a different business, you make trays like this, right? And then it filters things as a box and it holds more volume. Because I made this screen, I made it round like that out of a piece of sheet metal that had holes in it. It was very thin. But because it's hard to keep it square, because you need support on the bottom. But it's rounded, it has a natural geometry. The curvature allows it to sustain it without a whole lot of strength. That's why when they build arches, they're curved. Because if you built a square like this, that opening there, you'd have to support the top with a pretty large beam. Whereas if it's curved like that, it's supported on the ends because the force that's above comes down through the arc. And that's what a structure is. So your body is doing the same thing. It creates curvatures to create structures, like rounding your back, or bending to the side, or lifting your hands up here. So that's a structure. It's supported by the ends, right? But there's no support on this end. So how do you compensate for that? You use a little more strength, but then it could become excessive. So that's using the wrong strength. So another way to support this is to put this hand here, and that's called pressing. So that happens here, right? So we have this half circle here. The full circle is this. You interlock your hand, that becomes strong, right? It's like a ring, like what they make kegs out of. They put a metal ring around it to hold it. Gives integrity. If that ring breaks, what happens? The pieces fall apart. So when you're in a position like this is the structure. Okay, so what's the action? If we put this here, that creates another structure for the integrity. So now it's connected here and here. So now this is your structure. Now that's the static position. In motion, you have to turn. So what's important as you evolve in your Tai Chi is not just the sequence, but the creation of those geometric shapes and the consistency of your movement compatible with direction. Because direction is forces. So even forces have direction that's dual. Because if you didn't go one way and then back the other way, you wouldn't have balance. So that's kind of how you have to think about this. So when you say, well, when you stroke down and this hand goes down, this hand goes up. When this combines and it separates, that's the direction of your movement. So then you have to bring in one other element that makes the structures and the transitions correct. That's alignment of body, right? So alignment of body is how your skeletal structure creates a line of movement. So a line of movement, when we're here and we intersect the hands and we split it like this, the line of movement has to be there on the same plane. So a plane, has more length and dimension, but a line is a direction of movement that could be very narrow, that you just follow it. Now, if I go like this and I separate the hands, I can't go too far out before I start to lose my position. So what do you have to do to compensate for the loss of position? You have to turn. Because what's controlling your balance is this. And what controls this is how you can bring your center of mass back to the vertical position before turning and then rising and turning again. So that happens in silk reeling. When we get to the forward position, we're balanced between the two legs. Certain amount of weight here, certain amount of weight here. But then when I start to turn, this is substantial, insubstantial, and I start to shift back. So the shifting back becomes a straightening of this foot and the folding of the back leg. When I turn again, meanwhile, tracking the pattern, when I sit back and I turn, it's to find the vertical line between the top of my head and the heel of my back foot, because that's your vertical central equilibrium position. The vertical line that is the true position that does the stacking of your body, like that pole. That pole is able to support all that weight because it's straight. Actually, one of those are crooked, but that one actually holds water, goes through it. Anyways, so that's how you have to think about it. That's how I explain it, because that's really what's missing when people practice something like this. Because if you speak of functionality and motion, right, the reason why we have to move and why we have to move correctly is because movements are functional. If you're taking it to the martial arts level, then it has to be applied as a technique. But if you take movement in the context of just functionality and what you do with movement, then it becomes application. So then it becomes task. What you do in a day to get through the day, to whether it's cooking, gardening, woodworking, cleaning, all of those are tasks. But how do you do those things correctly without wasting a lot of energy? So that's what we learn. We learn how to use our body efficiently and using the geometry of position, the direction of force. So we begin to understand that stuff that's happening out here on a physical level is excessive. But you wouldn't hold something out here for an extended period of time. We can hold our arms up there because it's used to knowing that weight. But you put a 2-pound weight out here and you hold it for a period of time without knowing how much strength it takes to compensate for the extra 2 pounds of weight, your body starts to get tired, right? But if it held it there like this for a period of time every single day, then your arm will adapt. It starts to know that there's a little bit more weight there. So, that's what happens to the body. It starts to adapt. So when some people even put on weight, it adapts, but you don't put on weight today you're 10 pounds and tomorrow you're 50 pounds. It's gradual. So the gradual increase of strength comes as you put on more weight. But the thing is, taking the weight off, you actually will feel lighter, because it's almost immediate that you will feel that there's a difference. So our body and our control of that is actually learning to deal with these forces and weights, and we're always balancing that. So the movement is like a balance beam. When you move this way, it compensates. When you do it this way, it compensates. How much strength really is detected over time. So you didn't know, was that was a well, now get back. Okay.
Another thing I like about that is that black belts like Rob
Yeah.
get confused. I love that.
Yeah.
It's not just me, but the black belt
No,
wondering what to do.
because I bring out another strategy of how they should be doing it, and they get sometimes confused because the way they were doing it is what they thought that was the correct way. But if you hold your mind and you stay like, fixed on that idea, you can't evolve because the body doesn't change, it doesn't adapt. So as you evolve, you begin to realize how to generate the forces. So the movement I did with them was really from a punch, and we go from here to the elbow. Where does the strength come from to create the actions? So there's some bending, there's different body configurations. So rounding, when you do this, the power comes from the transition in the direction. Now if your arm is like this or like this, is different. You can't elbow like this because you don't have a structure. It has to be elbowed like this because this is the optimum structure. And how do you get strength from here if this is isolated? So you have to turn the waist and you create a motion like that. So now you have centrifugal force driven by the waist. And then if you want to reach your destination, you have to slide. So you slip. So now when you turn and you slide and you generate the movement, now it becomes a direction of force, and that's created by action. So the motion is there, the geometry is there, the compatibility is direction is there. Now you have to build the timing, and there's static structures, and then there's motion structures there. That's your transition. So then when you get to there, now the next movement is here. And how do you get this? So the alignment of that circle, which is how we swing our arm, the turning of the waist, which is what creates that, and then the formation of this position, which is the geometry of that position, that's the circle. So it's like a pendulum swinging. It can't go from here, it has to go here because the vertical line is the most efficient line because gravity is down. So that's what we're talking about. Yeah. Okay. Fan through back, yeah. Yeah. Okay, yeah. Oh, so when you're an insert needle, the first thing you have to do is take the step forward, right? Now we're in a frontal position. We have to sit back and adjust this foot. Now we're in that we're in the leaning position with a 45-degree body form here, right? So initially we were here and we stepped out. Now I'm square, right? If I turn my foot and I connect this with that, then in order for me to open this stance, I have to open this foot. Okay, so we first insert, step forward, sit back, turn. And now our hands are like this, but we can't just open. We have to open this leg first, and then lift the hands above, and then turn away. So here's where the passive motion is. If I insert the needle and I end up in a cross hand position like this, and I turn this hand and adjust my feet, then I have to spread my arms. So the spread is as I bring my weight back to the straightened leg, then you have a line of movement that's coming this way. And then I'm turning my shoulder and my waist to I'm here. So there's your final position. So actually there's very little physical hand movement or arm movement. You're really realigning your body to the side position in here. So to go to the geometry of position again, this becomes straight. This curve becomes part of that expansion of motion. Because anytime you turn away, you're going to create a direction of movement. direction of the body, the shifting of the legs create the direction. So now the hand turns as a function of this. This extends, straightens as a function of that as well. So realigning your body allows you to create that position and posture. Yeah. The whole arm. Yeah, because the elbow dictates the direction of movement. So if I want to keep my hand in this position, say, and I just keep the elbow here, then it's going to go here. In order for my hand to be here, my elbow has to go up and then turn. So the components involved is this, to get the elbow in the direction. So then you turn. Now, the sophistication of a motion becomes more critical as you apply a force and how to use it. So when you insert the needle and you come to here, then when you lift, your hand will slant like this, the elbow goes up like this. Then it starts to create the circular movement. So now we don't just have this, we actually have a rise and a fall in the elbow. So that becomes sink the elbow, relax the shoulder on the upside. Because what goes up must come down. So that's how complicated a movement can be, and you can't see it because your body doesn't know it. You know, a lot of times when you watch something, you say, well, how does that happen? Because your body itself doesn't know it. So then you have to think your way through it. But you can't think your way through it if you don't know that all of those things are happening. But once it's pointed out, then it starts to make sense. Then you have to kind of tell your body, this is what you're supposed to do. Then the body doesn't listen right away. So then it starts to say, okay. Then eventually, as you complete and mimic the movement, all of those things start to come into play. So essentially, all fan through the back is this. That's all it is. So it's just a big circle. But once you bring your legs into it, you bring your waist into it, you bring your space and direction into it, it becomes much more complicated. So when you manipulate your skeletal structure, that's really where you're building these motor neurons and sequential events and all the things that happen up here. And it's all tied to those movements. So there's... Yeah. No, because, see, in the beginning we have a sequence, and then later on as we evolve with the posture, we have the final position. That's the alignment of those joints. That's the muscle memory. Then transitionally, you want your upper body, your arms, and the lower body to connect as a relationship. So while you see that I did the insert needle here, and I bent here, I shift forward, I shift backward, I shift my hands, and I open. And then when I turn to here, you will see that my legs actually will open up again to create the horse. Now when I create the horse, because this is here, and then I open, so the hips are actually opening, and the weight distribution between here and here become a transition. Now in this position, I'm on the heel and the toe of the back foot, even though both feet are on the surface. So there's a relationship between the heel of your foot and the toe. So when you're in this position, depending on where you're going, because you're maneuvering between the two legs, it's still contacting the floor based on your heel, the ball of your foot, the side of your foot, the edge of your feet. That's why you have all these little bones there to kind of control the pressures in the soles of your feet to give you the feedback up here to let you know where your feet are in connection to ground, so you know where the body is in space. You know, all that stuff happens naturally. You know, as you stand there, it's already happening. Otherwise, you'd tip over. But when you take it to this level, you're actually controlling it, trying to get the body to become more intelligent, to avoid the double weightedness. And so that's why people, as they get older, have the tendency to fall, have rigidity in their legs and all the stuff that happens is because it's lost all that understanding because it never had it. It just had it through, just as a natural response. But that natural response starts to break down because we don't use it, efficiently, effectively. So when we're working with footwork, that's what's happening from the soles of your feet to the top of your head. And so anyone that's been doing this a while, you must feel more balanced, more agile on your feet, and more aware. When you walk on the floor, now you can feel the ground. That's why we suggest using thin sole shoes, because then you have more manipulation of your toes and everything else that's down there. So we draw the analogy or the relationship between the parts of the body. Your hands are like your feet, right? Your wrists are like your ankles, your knees are like your elbows, and your shoulders are like your hips. And those joints work as a relationship regardless of whether you know it or not. It's supposed to, but we don't move enough systematically, organized, then it starts to break down because we don't really know what to do. We sit a lot, we drive from here to there, then once in a while you would walk to where you're going, but it doesn't really know. So those relationships that normally would be this breaks down because it doesn't know there's a connection. Your brain kind of will filter out anything it doesn't think it needs because it's got to make room for other stuff. So yeah. Yeah, yeah.
Even when she got into the car, it was like there and then like wall the legs in.
Yeah, yeah.
And I thought, is that the progression of aging, or can you do something about it?
Aging is aging, right? Things get old and they wear. But the thing is, movement like that is because the body has become dysfunctional because the joints are starting to, become dysfunctional from the wiring. It can't do a lot of things because it hasn't. And then, maybe there's some nerve issues or maybe there's pain. So most of the time when you start to compensate, it's really a part of pain. And then proprioception, the stuff that we talk about, the joint sensors. So they stop to not know what they're sensing. When we talk about alignment of body and muscle memory, that's really the sensory system giving feedback to the brain as to how the body position should be. So while she's going in like this, and she probably doesn't know that that's happening. I'm just saying that she probably doesn't know that she's doing that. It's the only way she can do it. And if you tell her to change it, she can't, because it's already kind of in her system. And so if the legs are like this, that means the muscles that take the feet like this don't work anymore to get that to happen. But it doesn't mean that if someone took the leg and turned it, that wouldn't go there. But that becomes, something, that's a passive action. It's sort of like getting someone to give you a massage, someone that's, stimulating your circulation by using their pressure. But if you move, you actually will create stimulation too and circulation, because now you're making the muscle contract and release and contract and release. And that's what we actually typically do when we move. Well, we don't realize it. But then if you press like this on your arm, it'll turn red, right? Because when you let go, there's a surge of fluids that go in there because the muscle responds. If you don't do that, nothing will happen. If you rub it and you do this, then you produce heat, right? Because it creates, there's friction, but then the muscles respond. If you bang your hand like this over your bone, here will get stronger because it starts to think that it has to respond to that. So that will change. So that's why martial artists hit things to build calluses. Calluses are a response to irritation, and then it builds something there to protect you from, hurting that. Or you get these on the soles of your feet because you're walking on it, and maybe the pressure there is constant, and it's always all the pressure's going there. So then you'll get, a callus there, or a bunion forms over there. All this is just your body responding. I only talk. Yeah. No, this is just, I mean, this stuff I'm talking about is not in a book only because these are my experiences and my answers to why I think it happens from, but if you take the ideas and then you were to research a connection to that and maybe science, then you will realize that that's probably what's happening. But I've been talking about avoiding the degeneration of the body a long time because that actually is what happens. If the pruning of the brain, how did I kind of come to this conclusion is because I read something that when kids turn 12 or 13, they because the language is already established. As you get older, it becomes harder to learn languages unless you're focusing on that. And it's because the brain prunes out the fact that it doesn't need to relearn languages. So then it leaves it free to learn other stuff. So most of us are actually pretty good with one language, unless you kept up both of them, or depending on if you have other languages. But it's just not coincidental. It's like that with anything we learn. Anything your body doesn't need, it just gets rid of it. So if you're moving a lot and you're learning a lot about movement, what happens to this? It starts to get better with it and begins to think that it needs a lot of it. A lot of that stuff that we're teaching. So your memory stays better because you're learning sequential type things. You're using neurons to control muscular control, and that's important because when those break down, then you stop moving correctly. And it's not, it's not like a strange phenomenon. It just happens. You can see it, with a lot of people. But if you notice the people that are here at a more senior age, it doesn't happen as fast. All those guys that you see jumping around that are seniors, Rob's the youngest one. All the other people, like Stevens, they're in their 60s. Paul's just turned 60-something. And it is young relative to what we think of today. But if you think about, what they call the aging population, senior centers is 55. They didn't raise it to 75. They keep it at 55. So then, the only thing they're raising is when you get your Social Security. They moved that up to, but then, it's just because they've been doing so long, it doesn't really affect them physically as much. In fact, I think they feel like they're in pretty good physical and mental condition. So, and then, Susan and Sam, right? Mara, Yeah. Bob's 87 or 86. Yeah. So Sam's like 77, right? 76.
See, if I didn't join the Tai Chi Class early, I couldn't walk up the stairs.
Well, he went back to a reunion. He says, "Boy, I'm glad I'm still doing Tai Chi." Right? That's what. So those stairs, they are a test because when even the guys that we're talking about, like Steve, they say, "Wow, that's a workout coming up the stairs." But you get used to it. I go up those stairs sometimes 2-3 times. Sometimes because I forget something, I go down. I have to go up. I go down. But you get used to it. Sometimes you carry stuff up those stairs. So that's the initial workout. So in the fall we should just go up and down the stairs. Well, they're going to put an elevator in by next year, so then that's going to destroy all of that. All right. The true test will be who uses the elevator and who walks up the stairs. Okay. Well, we didn't get to do the form. All we did was do mind exercises. So does it make sense to you? Does this?
Absolutely. I love these talks.
Yeah. But it does. It's just.